Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a lot of polls to go through here today that have been released. Some good, some not so good for Trump, and some crazy polling methods that are really helping Kamala Harris to where it looks like her campaign is telling these pollsters, change the way you're doing your polls. Go with all online surveys. That's the way the liberals get more votes that way. You'll see what I'm talking about with Emerson and how they changed it. They're trying to doctor it, and they're still releasing polls that are over 2 weeks old. You've got Rasmussen coming out and saying Donald Trump is up by 4 against Kamala in a head-to-head, and when you expand it to everyone, you still have Trump up 4 with RFK getting just 4% of the vote. Now, there were also people saying, well, you said, talking about me, that I said that RFK was going to endorse Trump, and then last night it comes out from a source that RFK was talking to Kamala. Guys, RFK has completely denied that. That source and that rumor, I believe, was just completely made up by the left. They do this all the time. So the idea that RFK would go to Kamala and ask maybe, to have a position cabinet and then endorse her is just ridiculous. And RFK has vehemently denied it. And he said he's going to run. He's trying to win. He's trying to defeat Kamala Harris. I still stand by the thought that at a certain point, likely in September, RFK is going to realize he cannot win and he will endorse Trump and get a cabinet position in exchange for endorsing Trump. But the idea that he would endorse Harris, I think it was completely made up. They just lied about it blatantly last night, and they got it from a fake source, and that's probably what happened in terms of that. But Rasmussen has come out. Remember, yesterday it was like +2 for Trump. They do polls daily. Now Trump's up by 4, and Rasmussen is one of the more accurate pollsters. This is from the 8th, 11th, and through the 14th, and it is oversampling Dems by 2, which is very accurate. The way they do these polls is really good, and also they are extremely transparent. Rasmussen is. And then people say, well, they're a conservative pollster. No, that's already been disproven. They oversold liberals in 2020, overestimated them, and 2016 they were extremely accurate. So that's a very good poll to follow. It's not just because Trump's winning. That's just, if you ask polling experts, they'll say, look at Rasmussen. That's the one poll that's more accurate than all of these. You've got a new Michigan poll. It's a Republican. It looks like a Republican source combining with a Democrat source. And you can see Trump and Harris tied at 48, both of the pollsters. And then you expand with everyone. Trump goes to +2. So I would say, based on, we got to make sure, this is a few days ago. And they did oversample Republicans on this by 1. So maybe, a lot of independents, but a better poll for sure for Trump that is more even. And obviously, Michigan is a state, if Trump is tied going into the election day based on how he's overperformed those swing states, especially the Rust Belt states, you would have to feel very good about that. So that is a relatively good poll. Are Democratic operatives lobbying polling firms to hold numbers as long as possible? I think it's a valid question. Well, not only that, again, they're changing to where how they get the results. Now they're all from online surveys, and it's helping Kamala and the Democrats get more of the votes. They're changing the way they're doing polls. See, when it was Biden versus Trump, they were being honest because the Democrats were trying to force Biden out. Now it's totally changed, and you'll see what I mean soon. This is a Republican pollster. They come out and say, this is great news for Republicans. Kari Lake tied in the Senate, and then you do have Donald Trump up by 2 with RFK siphoning off a lot of vote from Trump. If RFK drops out, Trump would likely go up by 5 or 6 in this poll. If Kari Lake is tied in the Senate, Trump's winning Arizona by like 7 points. So this is a really good poll. And Libs COPE, and they say, wow, it's a Republican internal that only has Trump up by 2. Yeah, look at RFK at 11%. There's no way he's going to get 11% on election day. So we're starting to see the polls look a little bit better. But even a poll like this, they're releasing it. This poll was, they stopped polling people on the 1st. It's currently the 15th. So this poll, this was really during the Kamala hype. Now that it's died down, now she's coming out saying she's going to be a socialist communist. She wants all the food controlled by the government. That's going to hurt her significantly. Even with the DNC coming up, you do another poll, I think Trump's going to be like 5 or 6 in Arizona. Arizona is looking better and better for Trump as well. These are good polls. And Emerson came out, and this is what they've been talking about. Oh, Emerson comes out with a Harris +4 poll, and you see how they did this in July when Trump was +4. This is how they polled people. Online, it was about 45%. Landlines, it was about 24%. And then mobile, it was about 31%. So an even split. Now, in terms of what is the best methodology for getting accurate polls, like is it mainly doing landlines? Is it doing a combination of all three? I'm not sure on that, but I'm just saying this is the way that they were doing it in July. Trump was +4. I would imagine that was Trump against Biden. He was +4. So with Kamala now, they have a mainly online panel. That goes up by 23% from 44 to 67. Landlines drops by about 15%, and then mobile falls by about 8%. So they've changed the way they've done these polls. In the Harris campaign, they realized that if you do the online panel, it's going to juice the numbers for Harris and it's going to help her, and it creates this false narrative. And they have to create the false narrative because she doesn't say anything. Like she does not do interviews, so there's no way to have her do something to where it's going to help her polling numbers. She just does not do anything. So this all has to be doctored and made up. It's just like when they got caught for changing the Google headlines. You go to one of the headlines from Reuters or like CNN, and it says inflation is down. And of course, it's edited. They buy the ad, and then they edit the actual headline and the description to make it seem like it's a pro-Harris thing. You click on it, and then it's just a normal CNN article that doesn't have anything to do with inflation. So see, it all has to be fake. This is what they have to do in order to maintain some type of momentum. It's all internet momentum. It's all Harris is now up over Trump. Ever since they made the switch, Harris has this amazing approval rating. And it's mainly based off of, now it looks like, because originally they were holding the polls, waiting 2 weeks. They got caught like the last 2 days. People started, big time Trump people called them out, and now they've changed it. Now they're polling people more online. It's lopsided at a 67% rate over the landlines, which are more likely to go for Trump, and also the mobile. And so now they're like, well, this is how we do polls. We're changing up our methodology a little bit. And it's helping the Democrats there. So that is a good poll right there. This popular post was deleted, not by mods, but by Reddit itself. The one thing I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff talking about wide-scale immigration and how it's horrible for the middle class. But this last bullet point is amazing. This is what they say: spread left-wing self-hate that teaches that white people are evil and their culture history is evil, and the only way to atone for their sins is to allow unlimited mass immigration. If you've got a liberal friend that just has all this white guilt, that's the exact thing right there. White people, they have all this, what we did in the past, it's so bad, we're such bad people, we have to give back by allowing everyone into the country. Of course, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because liberal Americans actually have an incentive to like illegal immigration, because if those people become citizens, and apparently Kamala is giving them amnesty if she wins, they will be more likely to vote for the Democrats, which will help them. That's why immigration in and of itself is a major issue, because there's an incentive to bring as many illegals and just regular immigrants into the country as possible, because they're more likely to vote a certain way. So if you've incentivized it, it doesn't really matter whether it's legal, illegal. I mean, you've got Kamala Harris saying she's going to be tough on immigration, but she's giving 10 million illegals amnesty. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I thought that was a really good point right there. Now they've gotten so desperate, we've actually had a oversample of Democrats by 23 in a poll released today that Kamala Harris was only winning by 4. And so this is another thing that they're doing. This is, more, you can tell this a lot easier when they oversample Dems in states like Michigan by 5-6 points. You're like, how is that possible? Well, now it's gotten so bad, it's not just 5, 10, 15, 20. They're oversampling Dems by 25 points. I mean, I don't know what state this is. This is probably a liberal state, you'd have to think. I mean, but no, it is true. They are oversampling Dems by 5, 6 points. They get caught when Republicans look at the internal numbers and see, and it's like Democrat 40%, Republican 33, Independent 35, or whatever it is. And it's like, why are you oversampling Dems by 10, 12 points in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania? Well, they have to create the narrative, and you've got a pollster like Rasmussen that's very fair. They oversample Dems by 1 or 2 because that's how the electorate should go this year, possibly, although Trump might win the popular vote, it's going to be close. And it gives you a result, and they're not manipulating to where they're doing all online surveys. It's a much more accurate poll. All of these other polls, I mean, there's really it's not like you get dinged for being wrong in a poll. Like if CNN releases a poll, or, I mean, any of these even smaller research firms or whatever, YouGov releases a poll that has Harris +6. Nobody really, you don't get dinged for it. I mean, people may say, well, that it's bad data and stuff like that, but it's just propaganda. Polls are propaganda. That's what they are. Seems like most of the good national polls are between Harris +2 and Trump +2. A lot of polls are very tight, very, very tight right now in terms of the national head-to-head. Although today, to be fair, this was 17 hours ago. Today, we got an Emerson that has Harris up by 4, and then the Rasmussen that has Trump up by 4. And I do think there might have been another national poll today that did have Trump up by 2, or that was yesterday, I think. I believe it was yesterday. So the big stuff today, and you know what? Maybe I should just go to this. Looking at all of the polls, this Fox News poll came out yesterday. Those are good numbers for Trump. +1 is a good number on Fox News. And then you've got a tie there. Emerson has Harris +4 in both swaths when you include Kennedy and Stein and West. You do have Rasmussen has Trump +4. So kind of an interesting contrast there between those two. The Michigan poll, that's tied, I went over. The Trump +2. And then looks like Franklin and Marshall has a Pennsylvania with all of them with Harris +3, and that seems like to be the only ones. You do also have Biden approval rating. With Biden at this point, I don't know, man. I don't think Biden is just, come on. The idea that Biden is doing anything, and I think they've stopped the whole charade of pretending like Biden is running anything. They just don't care anymore, because it's not like they need to have Biden with this amazing approval rating or anything like that. The reason he got a bump was because he dropped out, and the Democrats viewed it as selfless, and they're like, thank you for dropping out. And so his approval rating went up a little bit. But the idea that Biden is doing anything at this point, they just don't care. They've dropped the act. They say, we admit Biden's done nothing the past 3 years. We don't care anymore. We're moving on to Kamala. We're throwing Biden away and blaming everything on him. And that's why Kamala's come out and tried to distance herself from Biden. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.